And as lawyers, we live in the gray. So find the gray, and that's where we operate.
So, how does the Baker Act play into this whole thing?
Yeah. So the Baker Act, and pretty much every state has a version of the Baker Act. That is a statute that allows the state to step in and basically grab somebody and take them into a custodial type setting when there's an allegation that because of a mental illness, i.e., they're suicidal or maybe even homicidal, right? And it's an imminent threat. So someone is threatening to harm themselves. Maybe somebody took too much medication, with an intent to self harm, or they told somebody they were going to kill themselves, things like that. But it allows the state to step in. And the problem with it is that once the state steps in and you are placed in a receiving facility, unlike a criminal case, nobody actually knows you're there. In other words, there's no oversight. Even if a judge is the one who initiates the detention period of 72 hours, there's no oversight. That judge never sees the case again unless one or two things happen. Either I come along and drag the facility, the state, back into court, or the state, the facility, files to keep the person for an extended period of detention. Now due process starts to, come into the picture. But it's very easy for these facilities to circumvent the due process requirements of the Baker Act. Plus, because they are an agent of the state, albeit a privately licensed agent of the state for profit, as an agent of the state, they enjoy sovereign immunity. So as a general rule, you can't sue them for this stuff, even if they get it wrong and do so intentionally. So they're very motivated, especially if there's health insurance, to want to keep somebody and violate rights because there's no accountability. So I do a lot of that, and just
So,
the
could
rules.
you describe?
Well, let me tell you why I do this work, Zane. Why the Baker Act has become a mission of mine, and why I'm pretty confident telling you I file more habeas petitions than any other lawyer in the entire state. Because when I told you I lost my dad 11 months in, unexpectedly, 2 days after I buried him, I had a family member that was Baker Acted, and I was there when it happened. Okay, so I know what it feels like. And then during COVID, other lawyers started to call me because their clients were getting Baker Acted, and nobody knew what to do with these cases. And everybody kept telling these lawyers, there's nothing you can do. Well, I don't believe that. I'm a lawyer, and as lawyers, we live in the gray. So find the gray, and that's where we operate. And so I just started filing all these cases, and the facility said, who the hell is this guy? We're not going to put up with this. And they started to fight me. So for the first 6 to 9 months, I was running all over the state litigating these cases. Well, they got tired of having their doctors kicked all over the courtroom, and they decided maybe we don't want to deal with this guy. So these days, very few cases get litigated, but when they do, they know what's coming down the pipe. So, I probably file anywhere from 250 to 300 habeas petitions every single year. I've always got 2 or 3 habeas petitions pending somewhere in the state. It's become a real mission of mine, Zane. So I'll happily represent people.